With more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes, Welton Rayom is committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. They handle complex personal injury claims caused by the fault of another in both state and federal courts. They handle auto, trucking, motorcycle, slip and fall, and bicycle accidents. Call 954-966-4646. That's 954-966-4646. Welton Rayom can help.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Welcome to Caneswear. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
We are live. It is Tuesday night. And of course, I am Sean Stanley. He is the great Frankie Frezko, Squared Circle Digest, live on the Stanley Media House and Frankie Frezko YouTube channel, as well as X. Make sure you get your comments in. We're going to be talking a lot tonight about Wrestlemania, the road to Wrestlemania. We got some stuff going on in AEW, big business in Boston tomorrow night. So we'll be discussing that and a lot more. And the one and only. I was solo last week, but I am alone no mo. It is Frankie Frezko. How we doing, sir?
What's up, guys? I'm glad to be back. I'm sorry I missed last week, but it's a new week. So let's talk some wrestling.
It is time. And then last night, of course, let's get right into it. Why not? Don't forget, jump in on the chat there. X as well. You can, I believe if you comment from the X, we can get it here as well. So just jump in with your comments, moans, groans, bitches, complaints, whatever you want to do. It is the Squared Circle Digest. We're here for you, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Cody Rhodes back at it again. We had SmackDown this past week. Actually, you know what? I forget. We're on Tuesday, so we didn't even talk about what happened on SmackDown.
No.
SmackDown. The smack heard round the world. And I remember Frankie texting me and was like, why they do it like that? What? All I get is, what was that? And I'm like, dude, I'm not watching it. I'm DVRing it. What happened?
Yeah.
Tell us your point of view, what you thought on SmackDown Friday night.
All right. So before I chime in on what happened on SmackDown, of course, I need a favor. I know Sean just said it, but if you are watching on Twitter or on X, do us a huge favor. At least try to go to YouTube and just hit the like, because that's going to help our algorithm. So if you want to watch it on X, that's perfectly fine. Just go for like a split second to YouTube. Go to either his page or my channel, either or of the channels, and just hit that like and then go back on X. That way it helps our channel expand little by little. But now let's talk about SmackDown. So I was watching SmackDown. I was I'm starting to realize how SmackDown is a lot more entertaining right now than Raw. Raw's kind of boring right now. It sucks, but it's the truth. And I guess it's because of Roman and because of Rock. And then you bring Cody and you also bring Seth. I mean, it's crazy. But I was disappointed, Sean. Like, come on, man. And there was angles where they were showing the guys with the cameras were telling, The Rock, speed it up, because we're gonna go out of the air. And you see the slap, and then you're like, they just cut it off. And that's when I text message you. I'm like, what happened? They're late. We just what? I'm what?
Yeah, but was yours? And I'm sorry to interrupt you real quick, but was yours the slap and then it went off?
Yes. So I was lucky.
Mine was the slap, and the Rock kind of stood there for about 25 seconds. Then it went off.
Okay, no, that happened. But I heard that there were some people who didn't even get the slap.
That's why I was asking you what you got, because I also heard that as well. That's why.
But I thought something happened afterwards. But then obviously some videos leaked, and they just stood there and just didn't do anything extra. So at the end, I was kind of like, okay, we didn't miss out. But I was a little bit disappointed because, bro, we just got the same thing in AEW with Sting's retirement, and now we get this. I'm like, what is this? What are they trying to do? I can tell you
this much right now. I don't believe that they will do any physical stuff until the match at WrestleMania. I mean, they might do something where they go to leap at somebody, and then, of course, there's going to be security there, and there's going to be the pull apart type stuff. But I don't believe there's going to be any type of physical activity between the two, because then you kind of ruin the build up for WrestleMania, where they're finally going to touch, for the first time. Terry, what's going on? Dad, how we doing, sir? And I think, and then the thing is, I think The Rock sped it up too much when he was being rushed, because I honestly think it was supposed to be slapped to black. Like, it was supposed to be Cody swinging, making contact, and then off. Because there's no way The Rock would stand there and just look at him. And you could tell it was kind of like awkward a little bit, because he's smiling like, I really should be swinging on this mofo or something. Like, I shouldn't just be standing here like this.
What they should have done is,
and it was like, it just odd, because I think he sped it up again a little bit too much then, and then they had that time to go off.
I think what they should have done, right, is when he slapped him, all of a sudden, The Rock should have made that movement to go ahead and go hit him. And then Roman steps in front of him, puts like his hand on his chest, or just steps in front of him and tells him, relax. We got this. Don't worry. We'll get our vengeance. And then go from there. Something like that. Instead of just The Rock looking.
I think they should have had a plan B. But I think what happened was, and here's the one thing too that's been talked about a lot on SmackDown by, other sheets and things like that, is that every time The Rock has been on SmackDown, it's been overages, which is why I think this time, and again, with this angle, they put him at the end. They've been putting him at the beginning, and then they've been having to shortchange a lot of matches throughout the card because they go over. So I think this time they're like, all right, we want you to go 10 minutes. Boom, you got 10 minutes. And you could tell he almost went over again, because they're like, hey, hard out, network out. So, I think what they did was they said, hey, this is what you want to do from now on. So I think you're going to see them at the end of the shows more often the next couple shows, because the last couple shows, a lot of complaining about, and rightfully so, man. I mean, they're getting TV time, and it's getting cut because, and I get it, he's a TKO board, and I understand he's doing the heel Rock thing and all this stuff, but man, TV time is so important to a lot of these guys' characters and gals' characters when you're only getting, 3 minutes to go out there, and you have to cut your entrance. Now goes from, like, supposedly they're supposed to be, the women entrances were supposed to be on TV. They had to do them during the break so they could have the match time, because they went over. There's little things like that where they got to make up for that time somewhere.
But I'm gonna tell you something, and shout out to Bounce. What's up, Bounce? I'm happy to see you on Hollywood Rock. I love Rock. I love the fact that when The Rock got all out, I love how Seth jumped in and just put him in his place. I thought that was really good too, that they actually did that. And I'm telling you, they're selling us. They're selling us a lot on SmackDown. There's so many things going on in SmackDown that is actually really, really entertaining. When you have Raw, it's kind of falling back. I know yesterday they did their little thing, and then we'll talk about the new matches that are going to happen in WrestleMania. But like, like it leaves you more intrigued what's gonna happen in SmackDown, and that's what I'm enticed about. I'm like, yes.
Though either because on Raw, unfortunately, you have to also start building up Drew and Rollins, and if you got Bloodline also in there, Rock and Roman, that's going to take over center stage.
Let's not talk about Drew because that guy has an issue with my man CM Punk. Again, he threw another jab at him, and CM Punk. Everybody knows
they throw little nuggets just to keep other things going. Like even if it's for nothing, if Drew leaves after WrestleMania, it's out there for whatever else. You know what I'm saying? Because even Seth used it and said, "I used to think CM Punk was talked so much trash until I met you." You know what I'm saying? Like they just keep them in there so that it just the nuggets that I like. And again, that's the entertainment side to me that I like, where it's like, okay, all right, I get it. I understand. I follow it more than just, hey, let's throw a card together. It's a great card. You're gonna have great matches, but nothing really makes sense except for that match.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this, because we didn't talk about this last week because I was out. But what do you think about these guys taking the AEW type of decision of having these guys wrestle back-to-back nights in WrestleMania? So now they are obviously Seth is now going to fight Drew McIntyre on Sunday, and then you're also going to have the tag team on Saturday, but then you also have Roman and Cody on Sunday. Are you happy about that? Do you think that's beneficial, or do you think it's hurting? Because personally, myself, I think it's hurting the women. That's what I want to see. I wanted to see the women. I wanted to see.
I think it takes away a main event match from one of the women, because Rock,
like Bailey
that team is the main event. There, it should have either been Bailey Io or Rhea Becky on night one. Main event. That is the problem. You're taking away from other stars, but at the same time, with the way I believe the flooding and the outport, the way they had to kind of change and the support for Cody and everything, the way it went was, what else are they going to do?
I think it's the crybabies, man.
Rock on the show. You've got to.
There's too many crybabies out there, man, and they love the crybabies, and they're just supporting Cody, and it's unfortunate, man.
Cody
because
crybabies, baby.
Because the problem is there's so many Cody crybabies out there that they're like, yo, we have to sell Cody both nights. But then that's when I'm a little bit shaken about Seth, because I know he got cleared, but obviously he just was injured. So, like, are you taking a risk? What happens if one of these guys gets injured on day one?
That's what I think happens I believe Drew's already signed his contract with WWE.
I think there was reports already that he signed.
Has been report. I haven't seen a report that said he has.
Okay.
I know it says that there's talks and everything else, and I don't know who to believe anymore. Unless I get it honestly from Fightful right now, I'm kind of like, shell shocked on some of the stuff, because certain people are being used for certain aspects of things right now. Just like sports, by the way, just like sports. But it's one of those things to where I think they could play it as an angle, because remember, Rock's already said, Seth, I can make your title disappear like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think what they end up doing is working some of that into play. You know what I'm saying? Because again, the Bloodline's going to, the thing that I'm very interested in, and I want to see it play out before we start talking more about it on the show, is who else do they bring to WrestleMania from the Samoan dynasty? Because they're going to have like people in the front row, Rikishi. I don't know if they bring, I don't know what the health is like for like the Wild Samoans and those guys like that. But you've got Jacob Fatu, who's not signed anywhere. Tama Tonga, supposedly he's already signed with WWE now.
Yeah, I read that.
So you start bringing some of them in. What part do they play in this?
Yeah,
so much. So there can be so much to go. And then what night is Jimmy and Jay going to be on?
That's a good one too. It should be Sunday.
Jimmy from the equation, possibly, depending on how that match shapes out. So do you have just Solo on the outside with Rock and Roman?
And then is Rock fighting on Sunday as well? Because you have him in a tag team match, but can something brew up where he's going to have to fight on Sunday as well?
This is why I think it can go it can go any way you want to go with it. But I think ultimately somehow The Rock loses on Saturday, and then as a member of the TKO board, and I'm the boss of WWE, he puts himself at ringside for the main event match on night 2.
Maybe.
And
I don't know. He did brag about it this past Saturday. I mean,
ultimately,
Friday.
Costs Roman Reigns the belt. So Cody finishes his story, and then he goes and fights Roman.
I thought you. I know you're going that route because you mentioned that.
They don't do that though. I hope they don't do that because I like the Hollywood Rock. I like the way this is going now.
All day.
But how long do you string this out? Because something's got to happen. Cody can't just pin Roman. After all this, it can't just be a Cody hits the cross, the crossroads 3 times and pins Roman. Like, it can't be that way unless you injure Roman the night before. And he
maybe
banged up.
Maybe Senor Money in the Bank jumps in. Maybe they do that.
I mean, how does he cost Roman though? That's the part like that. And again, there has been talk of the Bloodline going more babyish, but with The Rock being added, I don't know if they can do that right now. And if Senor Money in the Bank does cost Roman, then you've got the Bloodline against Judgment Day.
True, but that's been something that's been going on for a minute, though. They've had that before.
They've had where they've helped each other out, and they've kind of been at odds a little bit, and they've kind of teased it, but nothing full force. Whereas if he costs Roman the title, that's full force feud right there, because now you've just taken, the tribal chiefs titles.
I just don't see it. I don't see Roman losing. And I'm gonna stick to my guns. I think all the way through WrestleMania.
You can't have Cody lose though, man.
Now you have Cody lose, man. I'm sorry. You have Cody lose.
There's no way you can have Cody lose this.
You have Cody lose again, bro. You have those Cody cryberries keep being.
You think the Philadelphia fans hurt Philly during the Super Bowl? What do you think them Cody crybabies gonna do if Cody loses for the second time?
And it makes sense for him to lose a second time. That's the reason why. Exactly. There'll be more heat on WWE. There'll be more heat on Triple H, and that makes more viewership. There's a reason why. I like the fact that Cody loses again, and I'm sticking to my guns. Cody's going to lose. I do feel The Rock is going to get involved some way, somehow, or somebody from the Bloodline is going to get involved, even if they win. Even if they lose that Saturday, I still think somebody's going to join. Something's going to happen.
There's going to be a ref bump, and then people come out of everywhere. I mean, it's going to happen.
Like worst case, you know what would be good? This is what I think it would be good. Cody and Seth win on Saturday, right? And then you know how The Rock said, "Hey, no bloodline interference and none of that stuff," right? But technically, nobody said that The Rock cannot be a guest referee on that particular match. So he could show up as a guest referee, and he's saying, "Hey, nobody mentioned anything about a referee or anything. I'm just gonna be a referee," and then he could sway to help Roman Reigns. That's what I think might happen.
How about they do the Stone Cold finish with Vince McMahon as a special guest referee? You remember that?
Yeah.
Vince was knocked out. The Rock's knocked out, and Cody takes The Rock's hand, does the 3 count. Everybody thinks Cody wins. You go to Monday Night Raw. The Rock shows up on Raw and yanks the belt back off of him and gives it back to Roman. So people leave Philly happy thinking Cody's the new champ. And then you hose them the Raw after.
I just don't. I just don't feel that him losing the belt the next day is the route they would like to take.
You strip it from him. You don't lose it. You strip it. You'd be like, I didn't make the count. You made the count for me. The referee, no official, made a full count. I'm stripping you of the title, giving it back to Roman. Now at least Cody wasn't beat. And at least you can be like, I was robbed. Because you can't have Cody get pinned either. That's the thing in this match. It's like, I don't know that you can have Cody get pinned, man.
Well, this is the thing. And Terry's saying something out there in the comments. He said, you can't drag Cody Rhodes, drag him out for 2 more years if he loses and doesn't win the title. Look, personally.
Oh, no, but also remember, The Rock said, if you lose, you don't get another title shot. They did the AEW rule again. It's full crap again. Remember?
I think he kind of said that in a way of like, if I don't know, it didn't seem like concrete. It seemed like he was kind of like, he kind of wanted to take it back when he said it. That's the vibe I got when he said that.
He went all AEW on people. Like,
I think he wanted to kind of take it back. He's like, oh crap, I said
TK came out of me.
Yeah, but I still think Cody could lose this match. And again, Terry, the only reason I'm saying he could lose this match is because of the fact that the crybabies are so loud and so supportive of Cody Rhodes that it will lead to more eyes, more viewership, more drama, more sadness for Cody, and it's only going to build Cody more and more. And then you could spin it.
Stay that strong though. I mean, yes, the diehards will. But will the casual wrestling fan stick with Cody?
Yes.
When he can't do it again?
Yes.
If he gets, I think, you know what? You might be right depending on how they do it. He can't be beat clean again, and he can't be beat by a solo spike again. It can't be the same thing that happened last year.
Yeah.
It's got to be something to where, you know, almost like what they did with Lesnar, where they piled everything on top of him, including the truck in the ring, and then he couldn't, you know, there's got, if that might work. Or, you know, like I said, with the thing where they just screw Cody totally out of it and just like, hey, you're not going to win anyway. So,
I mean, personally,
I just don't think there can be a clean win by Roman and Cody stay on fire like he is now. Especially with the promo last night, he's crying because he wants to hand the belt to his mom.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like I mean, that's pulling it. Talking about, you know, the fans that you see all the time on the Instagram and everything. The blind fan that just wanted to hear him come out. Like, man, bro, like you're pulling at some heartstrings to be getting beat.
Yeah, man. Look, man, I was a Cody fan. I was a Cody fan when he first got to WWE, but hey, man, I love Hollywood Rock, man, and then Hollywood Rock needs to show up there.
And can you imagine? And I just saw what Bounce DJ said. I want to see the Eagle Wingtip Championship back. Imagine the American Nightmare belt.
That is cool. I'm not gonna lie. That would be badass. I'm not gonna lie. That Bounce makes a good point there. But I don't know, man. Look, a lot of people didn't think Cody losing last year would have been able to drag. Yeah, both of us.
Honestly, it didn't pick back up until the Royal Rumble when all this happened. Because Cody was there and people loved him and his song. Yes, he got all that. But there was nobody pushing for Cody Roman until he won the Royal Rumble.
And of course, Cody needs to thank CM Punk for that.
Yeah, well, he needs to thank his tricep.
No, he needs to thank CM Punk. CM Punk won. Even if he would have not messed up his tricep, CM Punk would have gone ahead and taken the fall and given the stage for Cody. And then obviously The Rock, I think what made the whole turn was the crowd all of a sudden getting pissed at The Rock for taking over the spotlight. And then that's when WWE said, yo, we got something here, you know, let's go, let's run with it. And I like that. I like the fact that they were able to switch it around. And then now, you know, Cody again is like, it's box office, man. And then they stuck Seth Rollins in there too. So it's been going well. And then, yes, I know Drew McIntyre, he's been doing a good job. And I can't wait for when Drew and CM Punk go one-on-one. That's going to be fun. They're going to be able to build that a lot too. So it's been good. And then obviously you have the other matches that are out there, but it's entertaining. This is what we love.
And the fact that The Rock said, okay, I'm going heel then. The fact that they thought that much into it as like, The Rock's like, well, the only way I'm going to be able to do this if I just go full heel in a way.
Yeah. And we haven't seen them as a heel in a while.
And it's worked. It's not just been like, you know what, Cody, you gave it to me, but I think you deserve it back. No, it went the exact opposite. You know, it kind of just went like, whereas Cody just said, no, I'm taking it back. Cody almost turned heel without turning heel because he had given it to The Rock and then was like, oh, no, I'm not putting up with this BS because you're trying to say your family is the best and that's why you're headline. No, this BS is done. I'm taking my title shot back. They made it into a story. And the fact that The Rock went on Instagram for 21 minutes, laid down the groundwork of, when you whispered in my ear and I whispered in your ear and I told you this is for the dream and my dad, Rocky Soul Man Johnson, and they're looking down on us. So talk about what he whispered in the ear. And you took all that and you just threw it back at me, talking about again, they just told a story and it just hook, line, and sinkers you.
And then he did it again for the Houston show. He went back on Instagram and mentioned everything and how everything developed. And again, I don't know if it's WWE or if it's The Rock just being The Rock or a little bit of both. and they figure out how to put everything together to the point where you're like, man, this is entertaining. This is
The Rock
fun.
is bringing the Hollywood aspect into it. It's
Correct.
Here's the trailer to Raw. Here's the trailer to SmackDown. Here's the like that's what you're starting to get. And also, I think too is that the one thing that I think has happened a lot is that Kevin Dunn, who was the producer for Raw and SmackDown for WWE for all these years, has left. I think it's gotten a fresher. Now everything is fresh. It's not only the ideas from Triple H. Now it's the camera angles. It's a lot more of the stuff backstage. It's the cars pulling back up again that you didn't get for a long time.
No, and you saw the little graphics that they do now, like right when they're like presenting, like yesterday, R-Truth was a point where they were showing, like as they go to commercials, there's like graphics of R-Truth, like different, like I guess poses of him and stuff like that. They've done that as well. That's new. I've not seen that before. They've been doing that like the last couple of weeks. So they've done that, and I'm like, oh, this is something new that they're bringing right before they go into commercials for the break.
No, I mean it's fresh in the product, and then I think this, Rock is, for what Seth is saying, like, oh, you're the old guy, you're trying to come back in and this and that. He has brought that fresh air into this angle, and I think Seth has brought a little bit more of that fresh air because you're getting a little bit more of the old Seth. Yeah, he's still wearing the gaudy clothes and all that stuff, but he's starting to, and then last night he kind of came out with Drew at the end when Drew was leaving, and he was like, Drew, the reason I'm not worried about you is 'cause you're way down at the bottom of the list, buddy. Like, you don't matter.
And by him saying that, man, I honestly feel that he's gonna lose that belt. I honestly feel Drew McIntyre's gonna beat him.
Yep. And honestly, let me tell you something. I would not. The Rock's gonna get involved in night 2 somewhere. What says he doesn't cost Seth Rollins and at one of these pay-per-views, it's Seth against The Rock?
It's a good one.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think you put Rock against. I know everybody wants to see Rock versus Cody, and I think you will, but that's going to be at the next big paper. Like at SummerSlam or Survivor Series or one of those big ones. I think you get Rock and Cody, but I think Seth loses the title, and then you'll get Seth versus Rock. And that kind of goes against what I'm saying, because if The Rock does cost Roman, then you're going to get Rock Roman. So maybe, again, there's just so many ways that you can go with this. It's not like I'm going into WrestleMania going, oh, Seth and Cody win the tag team match, and then Cody goes and wins the main event. I feel at times they've cornered themselves into that position, but that don't mean that they're going to do that. As you said, they could just as easily sit there and say, hey, Cody, you tried, but The Rock kept it away from you.
Yeah, and
Rock was one step ahead of you, buddy.
And then the whole situation with Damian Priest. Remember, he could go after the heavyweight belt of Roman, or he could go out over for Seth. So that's that's another angle they could use as well. So it's like it's so many. It's brilliant.
Or to be honest, he could go after any title. Remember.
But go after Gunther?
I mean, we keep throwing at the heavyweight title picture, but when you look at the heavyweight title picture, he doesn't fit in with the Bloodline right now. Right now, I mean, as a singles competitor, you had Judgment Day and Bloodline. Okay, I can see that happening. But Damian Priest against Roman, Damian Priest against, I just don't. That doesn't seem to me as much as maybe Damian against Drew, Damian against Gunther. Like, I can see that more than that. That's why I don't think he interferes in the Cody Roman. I can see him getting involved, maybe Seth and Drew, as we talked about, or one of the other matches.
Okay, but now let's talk a little bit about that, because Terry did bring that up earlier in the comments. Gunther, does he drop the IC title to Sami Zayn? In my opinion, he should. I think Sami Zayn is enough to be able to shift that particular belt over to him, and he'll still represent it very, very well. Do I think WWE is going to allow it? No. I think they're going to still stick with Gunther, which is going to make me pissed, but I think Sami deserves it. I think Sami should win that belt. But again, I don't think they're going to go that route. I think they just too in love with Gunther. I think they should go and give it to Sami, and then now you start putting all the effort and trying to push Gunther into that mix for the heavyweight belts, either Seth or whoever has it at that time, and then obviously the Roman belt as well.
Can I throw a wild card into this match, by the way?
Talk to me.
I still think Chad Gable gets added somehow.
So
I watched the video and I rewound it. Watch the pinfall. Watch the pin. His shoulders are not on the mat. And then WWE did an exclusive with him afterwards where he's kind of like, I feel like I let my family down and I got to go home and I got to, like I let them down and this and that. I think you're going to start seeing a character arc. And I think Gable comes back, I don't know, as more of a heelish type character.
I hope not.
And I think you're going to start seeing more of him. But I don't know if they're going to do it at WrestleMania or maybe Sammy wins the belt the WrestleMania after Raw, then he confronts Sammy about it. That's the part I don't know. But his shoulders were not down for that 3 count. You can watch it. He's on his neck. And I don't know if that was a mistake by the camera catching it or if it was wanted to be caught so that they can play it out as an angle, because then all of a sudden this morning, exclusive, right after the match, they're interviewing, Chad Gable. So I don't know if that's something to where now they throw him in there somehow, or it's after WrestleMania they bring it back.
You know what? I'm fine with Chad Gable being added on there, and I do feel Gunther winning in WrestleMania, whether it's day 1 or day 2, and then losing it in Raw is okay. That won't hurt him because at the end of the day, he won in WrestleMania, so it would make sense. Maybe it was a tough battle for him during either day 1 or day 2 of WrestleMania, and then all of a sudden on Monday, somebody's able to take him down and obviously go ahead. Or you know what? It might be, again, and I don't want to sound repetitive here, but maybe Damian Priest cashes it on that Monday and then says, okay, I'm going to go after Gunther on Monday or whichever one. And then you could use that. And he's been through a hell of a battle. So I could see that happening. That's not a bad theory. I could see actually.
And it's also the thing like what, and again, I always look back to what Seth did at WrestleMania where he came in during the match, cashed in a briefcase. What if Sami Zayn hits the Luva kick on Gunther? Gunther kind of takes a bump, rolls out of the ring. Damian Priest is right there, hits his finisher on Sami. Gunther can't make it back into the ring. Damian pins Sami. Now you've cost Sami the match and Gunther. Now you've at least built something up there. And then you've got Chad Gable still sitting on the outside also. So now you've got 3 competitors.
Yeah. And you could do Damian versus Sami. That's another good fight that you could actually have. You could have Gunther against Damian again. I mean, that's
more stuff with the IC title than there is with Damian as the heavyweight champion.
You're probably right, because just right now, both heavyweight belts, like Drew McIntyre, Seth, and then Cody, The Rock, and all these guys on the opposite side, they're just so big right now. I don't see Damian Priest in that level right now. Like he was at one point.
Cash in and be successful. I think if he cashes it now, he's not going to be successful.
But he has to cash it soon because they're already putting commercials and stuff about the next Money in the Bank, right?
Pay-per-view after.
Yeah, so he has to cash it.
It's got to be soon. Got to be soon.
Unless they do something crazy that has never happened. Imagine if you have 2 Money in the Banks. 2 people having the briefcase at the same time. Have you ever seen that before?
Come out and you have to battle the other one.
I don't know.
Beats them to it.
I don't know. That would be interesting. That's something that WWE has never gone ahead and brought. Yeah. Maybe we're giving them ideas.
Maybe they're listening. Hopefully they're listening. Another thing, Jimmy and Jay, looks like that's finally going to happen at WrestleMania. It's going to be interesting to see the build up to that though, because the interesting thing is, like, those 2 you can lay hands on. Jimmy and Jay can go back and forth, kind of, costing each other match and this and that. I don't know how, because, like, to me, ultimately, the perfect thing would be, right, a 6-man tag. Cody, Seth, and Jay versus Jimmy, Solo, and Roman at a SmackDown or Raw or whatever. But do you want, Roman and Cody and all them, touching? That's the problem that I have. Like, how do you build up so much? I think you build up Jimmy and Jay on Raw, and you keep building the Bloodline, Cody and Seth on SmackDown, so you can keep the little things going, and then you throw Seth back over. But just like they're doing right now, I think they're doing good because it's not everything just on one show. You're tuning into both shows depending on what you like. Again, yes, SmackDown's a little more entertaining because you've got The Rock and Roman and all that stuff. But I think they're doing good stuff on Raw. problem with Raw is it's 3 hours. It's always been the issue. It just feels so long. And it's felt shorter lately because it has gotten a little bit better at times, but it's still so long that you feel like, oh, something dragged on, or this might have went too much longer because they just want to give it that time. And you know, they did Becky Rhea last night.
Yes.
Which, you know, again, they made me want to watch. They made me again to want that match. I feel bad for, as I said, we talked about earlier in the show, Bayley and Io and Rhea and Becky. I feel like they're going to get lost in the shuffle here.
Yeah,
I almost feel like when you're looking at the matches that are now being signed, like, where are they going to fit in? Because you still got Logan Paul, RKO, and I think Kevin Owens going to be I believe maybe a triple threat match possibly. You've got, or they're actually, no, I take that back. They're talking about it being a tag team match, which is KSI and Logan Paul against RKO and KO.
That's not a bad idea. But can KSI wrestle? I don't think KSI can wrestle.
I think he'll just get in there and get thrown around and beat up, and Logan will use him as like he does every time. I run out of the ring and then KSI takes the finish.
Yeah,
like
and
Seth, right? KSI took the splash off the top through the table because KSI was in the thing.
Yeah, I know he took the RKO the other day too. So
yeah, that's kind of
and then you got the tag team belts on for that.
Yeah, no, that's a ladder match that they announced.
That's not bad actually. It's
going to be good. But again, the women, I feel like they're going to they've got to be somewhere in that group, and where do you put them into where they get to what they deserve? Think about this. Bayley could win the heavyweight title
and nobody cares
at WrestleMania, and it'll be a kind of almost an afterthought, man.
But you know what? At least Rhea Ripley and Becky, they're using them and putting them on Raw. When you have the whole SmackDown being so centralized on The Rock and Cody and Roman Reigns, Bayley she's lost in the mix, and it sucks because she won the Women's Royal Rumble. This is the first time she ever wins the Royal Rumble, and they're just kind of pushing her to the side, which I'm really, really disappointing that they're doing that, because I really want a push for her. I think she deserves it. I think she should win. I don't know if she will, but I really felt like, hey, man, and maybe it could have all changed had they brought in Sasha Banks. But I think since they didn't get Sasha Banks, I think that's when they decided to kind of put him in the backseat and said, okay.
I think if Sasha comes in, it changes a little bit of the thinking. But also, I don't think it changes that much, because even with her coming in, you're not putting them top of the tag team match. And they're definitely not headlining over Cody and Roman. So either way, they're not getting the main event slot. But at least I always think one of them should main event, unless, of course, you're doing like you did that one year. Steve Austin comes back. Of course, Steve Austin's going to main event.
Oh yeah, of course, right. But at least they're being talked about, and there's something to look forward to. Right now, it's just they're gonna be.
I think they're doing good. They're doing good. They kind of have it where, again, they attacked her again and kind of beat her up and left her. I don't think she was on this week, but the week before with Dakota. I think they did that a little bit too soon, by the way, and I sit that out of my X-filled tirade that I did toward WWE. Why would you do that 4 weeks out when you could do it 2 weeks out?
I think they did drop the ball.
They didn't answer back, but I'm still waiting. I'm waiting on the call from Triple H.
Of course.
Wait, my phone's ringing right now. Hold on. And then the last thing I had for WWE was last night on the show. For those that don't know, during a house show, Maxine Dupree, I think, botched something, or I've reading the story. I didn't understand the whole thing. I think she botched a move, and the crowd kind of turned on her and started booing her and everything else. So then last night on the show, she went to do the same move, and Candace jumped in the way and was like, "No, you're not doing that stupid move on Indy and this and that," and backed her into the corner and was kind of talking down to her, and Maxine was kind of playing along. And then she blurted out about her dead brother.
Yeah.
And how he would be ashamed of her. Do you think, and again, I want to get your take, and do you think they crossed the line? Because that's been a little bit of a topic, not a lot big topic, today, but it has been a topic. Did they cross the line? Because I believe it's only been year, I believe, or so since her brother passed away.
No, I thought her brother passed away in 2017.
Hold on.
I believe her brother that passed away in 17.
Okay,
but
well, it's been a little bit.
But I will say this: I don't care if the brother had passed away last week or 10 years ago or whatever. You don't talk about my brother passing away. I had this conversation with my brother actually before we got on the show. I don't care what you do. I think they went overboard. And if I was Maxine Dupree, if that wasn't scripted, if she okayed it, then maybe somebody has a different take on it. But me, I would have said, no, I don't want to hear this crap. I don't want anything to do with anybody in my family being related to the wrestling. And obviously they've passed away. If Candice LeRae did that, like off rip, and it wasn't planned, then you want to know something? If I was a Maxine Dupree, I would have punched her in the face. Literally, I would have punched her in the face and said, don't ever talk about my family like that. That's just me. So I do feel that they did cross the line.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go the other way and say there's no way that line was blurted out on camera because the camera was catching what she was saying on purpose. It wasn't an accidental thing there. They made sure the camera was in tight to where they're picking that up. So I'm going to say that Maxine knew exactly what was going to be said. What I want to see, though, is how they turn this around to have Maxine come out better on the other side. Because I know last night she's like, oh, I'm done with this. Boom, Indy kicks her in the head. And Indy even looked at Candice like, what are we doing? Like, what are you doing in a way? So is Candice turning heel? Are they going to do something with, the whole thing? It's going to be interesting to see, but my take on it is I have to believe there's no way that Maxine Dupree wasn't okay with that being brought up because that's not something you're going to sit there and be like, oh, they caught the on camera by accident. No, that camera was in tight. They knew it was going to be in tight. They knew exactly what they were going to say.
I mean, if she really did agree to it, man, then I mean, everybody has a different take. I just wouldn't do it, man. I would have said to them, no, I'm not running that through the show. I don't care how much you want to push it. Don't mess with my family and stuff like that. And like I said, I looked it up right now. It was in 2017 when her brother died.
Yeah, I just read it too as well.
So it's if she agreed to it, then I mean, I guess you got to respect it. But if I was a wrestler, I don't talk about anybody who's passed away in my family. That's just me. Family is different. I understand the entertainment business, but that is just crossing over the line. And Josh said it. I mean, WWE went overboard on that one. Sorry. Yeah, man, I agree. I agree on that one. I'm not gonna see eye to eye with WWE, even if she agreed to it. I think they should have never even brought it up to her. They should have just kept that away. Those are storylines those are things you don't mess with, man. It's just bad. Like I don't like that. That I don't like. If WWE brought that up to her, unless she maybe she came up with it. I don't know. We're not there. We're not behind the scenes.
Yeah, no,
I highly doubt that she brought it up. But if WWE brought this up and told her, hey, let's bring it in, and she agreed to it, man, I mean, damn, that's rough, man. I wouldn't do it.
I think you have to make it personal, though, in a way. Now, I'm not saying you got to go that way there. You've got to make it a little bit of a personal dig. But also today, she sends out on Instagram a picture of the match, and it says, feeding my focus.
She did say that
on Instagram.
She did say so that's why I'm telling you, like what you're saying.
Of the thing there, but still, I mean, from our standpoint, would apparently you would not be okay with them using that if it was you in the storyline.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry, man. It's just me. You're okay with it.
Depending on how it's used, maybe. I'm not gonna sit here and say yes 100%, depending on how it's used and what it's going to lead to. Because if you're talking like that about me, about my family to me like that, then there's gonna be a beatdown somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like there's got to be a payoff. Like I'm not just gonna let you sit there and do this, and then next week I get rolled up and beat again. No.
But look what Josh just look what Josh just said. If she agreed to it, she lowered her self standard. Do you agree with that?
No. It's.
Are you telling me? Hold on, before you continue. Are you telling me that you want to bring something up like that in order to kind of push your career to be elevated, and that justifies it?
I'm not saying it justifies anything, but it's not lowering her standard to it either, though.
But
I mean,
you kind of using
as part of the
something.
storyline now. I mean,
Yeah,
again,
but that's rough, Sean. Like,
it is
how are
rough.
you?
I'm not saying it's an easy thing, but if she's okay, I mean, obviously she's okay with that aspect of her
Yeah.
life, or else she's not going to allow it to be brought up. I mean, if she has any, mental blocks or anything from it, that's not something they're going to trigger.
Look,
You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to do something that's going to trigger something mentally. So obviously it was talked about. It's been thrown about because honestly, I think what happened was when she was getting booed out there, they were like, how can we turn this around? And this is how they seen it. And now, again, I don't know if whose idea it was from there to there as far as with that comment, but again,
if she's getting
lowering a standard or anything, I mean, it's entertainment. It's a form of. It's like if you did a movie about her life, are you including it?
Yeah.
If you do a Hallmark show, are you including that part of her life? Because you're doing the same thing here. Yes, I get it. I get it's pro wrestling. I get it's a thing, but it's still entertainment. That's the problem. Like, it's still a form of. It's like if you're doing a documentary. Are you leaving anything out or are you putting it in? Because most of these wrestlers are living their life out for you.
Okay. All right. I see your point. And that's a very valid argument when you say, hey, their story or like a documentary and they mention all that stuff out there. I agree with that. But I'm going to say something, and this is the difference. Documentary or story, I'm telling the story. I'm not having a Candice LeRae say that about my brother. I'm the one bringing it up. I'm the one saying, hey, look, this is what happened. This is how, except I've been taking it after somebody died. That's the difference between, I feel, between a documentary and between like a movie or something like that. I am the one that have actually come out and been okay with me expressing what happened and my feelings towards obviously a death on your sibling.
Do that,
but
and again,
not somebody
else. Part where it's a little bit different is in wrestling. How does she do that?
You don't bring it up. That's the only thing.
Why?
Because it's man, like that's your
again. I don't bring it up if it's a trigger. If you say it and it sets her off, and it brings up things there. If that's a trigger for her, no. But if it's something that she's dealt with and she's good with, and it doesn't trigger anything, and you're not bringing any harm to her, I don't know that it's, again, is this something I would do? I don't know. I have to hear and see the whole part of the story.
I will say this.
It's going to play out and things like that. But I
will say this. We don't know the relationship that she had with her brother. So maybe it was a distant relationship too. Like, we don't know what happened, if they got along or they didn't get along or whatnot. I don't know any information. I mean, I read a little bit about it, but I didn't know her relationship with her brother or anything like that.
Relationship. I know he had a genetic issue.
Okay, even worse, bro. Jesus Christ. I would just say that if she agreed to do this, obviously it was her decision, and I respect her decision. Do I feel WWE went overboard? If she okayed it, then I'm not going to hold WWE accountable for it. I'm going to hold her accountable for it. And I'm going to go ahead and say, yo, that's not cool that she did that. Because it's like kind of saying, like, I'm using that particular part of my life as like trying like a stepping stone for my career. And I don't want that. You know, if people are booing me, then you know what? Roll with it. Do something with the booing. Who cares? Like, wrestling fans forget what happened last week. Like, that's how people sometimes it is with some of these storylines. So it's like, I wouldn't go that extreme. But again, it looks like she agreed. It looks like she was okay with it. So I'm not gonna hold WWE accountable. Her is a different story. Again, everybody's to their own. Respect to her if she did that and she agreed to it. And obviously it looks like she did because she obviously tweeted and all that stuff. But for me, I'm not even bringing that up. Not me. I can't. No matter what the circumstances are, I'm not even if my career doesn't make it, I don't care. I'm not gonna use that somebody passing away in my life to, fulfill a show, man. At the end of the day, it's entertainment. It's not entertainment. It's my personal life. What?
Yeah, but,
To each his own.
the other thing I wonder, and again, how many people, and again, it has been a talking point today, not a major one, but a talking point today.
It's major on us.
But how many people actually picked it up?
I mean, it was kind of low.
You know what I'm saying? Like how many people actually thought of like, oh, you know, until it became, because to be honest, I didn't have it on my rundown for a while until I started seeing more and more kind of picking up steam. I'm like, you know what? Maybe we should discuss this a little bit to see what we thought. But at the beginning, I was just kind of like, it's just a storyline.
Well, you guys on the chat, did you guys hear it?
Part of the storyline, but it's still part of the storyline.
See, I didn't hear the whole situation with her brother, but that part of the match, I was kind of like doing something else. Like I was watching and listening. I heard the beginning of her complaining and all that stuff, that you're not doing that match, that nobody likes you, that the boos and all that crap. I saw that. But then that's when I read and I said, wait, hold on a second. She brought up her brother. And I
said your dead brother.
Yes. And then when I rewinded it, I said, oh, yeah, she did say that. So maybe that's why it didn't take up so much steam, because it wasn't very, like, it wasn't on a mic or anything. It was just, you know, the camera was there, but
the camera picked it up.
Yeah. So that's the only reason that maybe not a lot of people noticed it until later on. So, but
and if you're watching on X and just comment in, let us know what you thought about it. And right here on the chat as well, let us know your thoughts on it. And again, it's one of those things that where wrestling blurs the line all the time, man. Wrestling always blurs the line. And unfortunately, usually the best things that kind of happen in wrestling usually kind of blur a line. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell, again, you know the show is scripted, you understand all this stuff, but then you go, did that really happen? And that's when you start thinking, like, oh, okay. All right, let's check it out. All right, Mr. AEW, you ready to jump over on your stuff, or you got more WWE? Is there anything else WWE that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think we're good. I think we covered everything.
Oh, you know what? There's one thing. It's kind of AEW WWE related, and I found it interesting because I don't know if this got uncovered from another podcast or a podcast was brought up from a while ago. But Daniel Bryan was on Bryan Danielson, sorry.
Oh, please make sure you get that correction right.
Yep. He was on a podcast and he went on and he said, and again, this was when this happened, he was with WWE. Okay. It was, that time frame when he was still with WWE. So he said, Vince McMahon actually called me one night. I was part of WWE Creative. He called me one night and said, what is AEW doing that we're not doing? And he went on to say in there is that he watched one show and he had about 6 pages of things that they were doing a little bit differently. But then this will tell you Bryan Danielson's mindset compared to where WWE's mindset is. Because everything on there had to do with wrestling. They wrestle for more than 6 minutes. There's more than 3 moves in a match. There's everything was more directed toward what we always talk about, what AEW I think does great at. The in-ring is phenomenal.
Facts.
Problem is the storytelling. Sometimes if you're in a good storyline, it's good. But if you're not, everything else is kind of flops around like a fish. Like you never know what the match is going to be. I mean, or there's a match out of nowhere that's like, why the hell is that happening?
Mm-hmm.
So I found it interesting that, and also he went on to say that Vince McMahon said, okay, that's fantastic. Didn't do a damn thing about it. Which again, he's not. That was one of the things I think he just did busy work for Bryan Danielson, because when Vince was in charge, it was Vince's way or the high. I mean, that's what he did. Mm-hmm. He had his way of what pro wrestling was, and he wasn't changing it, man.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't believe that, watch Raw going back up until a year and a half ago. Maybe from now, a year and a half ago, when he was writing and running that stuff, and it was repeat after repeat, we probably would see Gunther against Chad Gable 12 right now, if he was still, doing it. But I found it interesting because it was just where you see those guys like your Bryan Danielsons. They're wrestlers, man. They just want to get in there and do a great match, man. Do a great match. They're not so much worried about all this. Okay, we need you to cut this promo and do this. And that's one of the things that he even said was like, that's what he had to learn when he got to WWE.
Yeah.
Was the fact that, I got to talk? No, I wrestle. I don't want to talk in the promo. But to me, that's where the entertainment, and again, you can suck at telling a promo, but if you're doing, Roman sucked at promos. When he first came in with the Shield was terrible at promos. And I don't know if it was because of the gimmick and they had to act tough. They weren't allowed to show a lot of personality, but it was rough. And even with Moxley now, maybe it's because of the gimmick he had, as Ambrose or whatever, but his promos were not that good. And I don't know if they're that much better now, but it's just him now, right? It's just the gnarly, as he's talking, he's bleeding and everything else. The blood starts coming and everything else. But to me, it showed what we've talked about over and over again is the difference in what the WWE focuses on and what AEW focuses on. And if you like one better than the other, then that's probably where you're going to go towards.
Absolutely. I do want to also mention to you guys, you did remind me of something that I also wanted to speak about WWE. And that is, I want to give a big shout out to my boy, Mr. Dom Dom, who finally got married this past weekend, baby. That's why he was not there on Monday night. And then the best part was that when he was giving his speech, they booed him. They booed him out there when he was giving his speech. So that was cool. It also was cool that you saw Damian Priest was out there, Rhea Ripley was out there, Austin Theory was out there. I didn't even know he had that type of relationship.
Apparently, real good friend. He was the best man.
Yes, I had no idea.
Best man. Imagine that.
They keep that very secretly because I didn't know that they had that type of chemistry between them as friends. But shout out to him. There was no Rey Mysterio, was it?
Yes. He just wasn't on the thing. He danced with his mom.
I did see the mother.
His mom and Ray was there, but he was sitting at the table with Cody. And there's a picture where he's in the back. They kind of did good by that. But again, man, it's dude. You gotta, if you think, it would have been great was if if Rhea would have interrupted the wedding and be like, no.
Well, something.
Always on top.
you know something. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, and maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but I kind of missed Dominic last night in the Judgment Day. He was kind of missed because he wasn't there.
They're gonna move him out of the Judgment Day.
No, don't do that.
So you can't pair him with
Andrade El Idolo.
No, the other guy.
Which other guy? Because Andrade is the one that's been like
shooting with Legado del Fantasma or whatever they are. They're calling themselves now.
Oh,
not the LWO, the other one. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. I'm drawing a blank.
Man, I know who you're talking about. Oh man, I forgot. But I have to look it up. Yeah. But yeah, I know who you're talking about. The one that he's the one that's on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember.
And then also a funny thing happened on Raw. I don't know if you caught this. They showed Rhea Ripley at UFC 299 here in Miami, and Buddy Murphy was sitting beside her, and Michael Cole says, "And there's our women's champion Rhea Ripley at UFC 299." And you hear Pat McAfee go, "With who? With who?"
And I got the name, Santos Escobar.
There it is, Santos Escobar.
Yes.
And
yes, I saw that.
Might be.
Rhea Ripley was here in Miami watching those fights.
When I was watching, I was like, "What?"
That's another.
I was thinking about going to it, and I was like, "Oh."
Did you see the prices?
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't going that. I was going to reach out a little media.
So I will say this: that's another little wrinkle that WWE now does because of obviously the new merger between all of them. The fact that they're now showing some of these WWE wrestlers over there at the UFC
and mentioning on air now. And the other thing that was the interesting thing was that Michael Cole kind of came out and was asked about announcing under the new regime, and he's like, "So much laid back. We're able to be ourselves now." And honestly,
did he have
it makes it so much better just because like it's just you're not being told. Like my understanding was Vince McMahon would basically be calling the show in their ear the whole time, like do this and that, and the pay-per-view, get the pay, whatever. Like, dude, you can't be yourself. Now he's like, it's quiet. These guys are just let's go, and it's showing on the product to me. Because even look, Corey Graves is not the greatest at. He's still learning to be the lead guy, but it's still they're letting him be himself at least, man. It's not the greatest yet. He's still picking it up, but they're starting to get better chemistry over there.
Wasn't they? I don't know if it was this Friday or last Friday when he was wearing Valhalla's like antlers or whatever.
Oh yeah, that was this weekend.
That was this weekend, right? Well, no, I think it was the one before.
Last week. It was last week.
Yeah. So that goes to show you, like, I don't think Vince would ever allow that.
Oh no!
So
what are you talking about, man?
That never would have happened.
Even threw Jim Ross's name in there and everything. Like, dude,
yes,
it's just it is so different, man. And also, I think a lot of it has to do where, yes, it's still competition, but I believe like they're okay with where their product is to where they're not worried that AEW's breathing down our necks. You know, I mean, they had Chris Jericho. There was a bunch of it's like just
it's the same thing.
Everybody hit the like button. The Trapio is in the house.
It's the same concept as UFC and Bellator. UFC never felt threatened by Bellator, so they don't care what Bellator does. So, and then whenever they need somebody from Bellator, they take them, like Michael Venom Page. Now he's in UFC. Same thing with AEW. You know, they brought in Jay Cargill. They brought in all these. Andrade is back. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about AEW. But before we talk about AEW, yes, please hit the like. And if you're watching on X, once again, I want to remind you guys, we want to kind of build up Sean and myself's channel on the YouTube. So just kind of quickly, if you don't, please do go to the YouTube side. If you don't have an account, just create one really quickly, hit a like on us, and then if you want to see it back on the...
I'm at Stanley Media House. He's at Frankie Frezko. And we got other content that goes out. They have him and his brother have a great show, Let Me Talk to You, which airs tomorrow. Or am I talking out my butt here? Is that
tomorrow.
Right? Is that right? Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if you're still doing it every Wednesday. I mean, like, or if it was bouncing around. I didn't know.
No.
Didn't Miami play tomorrow? No, Thursday, right? They're Thursday or are they tomorrow?
I think they play tomorrow.
Yeah, they're tomorrow night, right? The second leg.
Yep. But let's talk AEW. Let's talk AEW. Of course, one of the big things that's happening, and I'm gonna try to share this. Let me see if I can share this with you guys. God,
this guy comes in with sharing.
You know me, man. I gotta share. Here we go. Let's see if it looks good. Does it look good?
That's all right. You can tell. You can see.
All right, there it is. So look at that card for tomorrow night, baby. Look at that. Look at that pay-per-view free for you guys. That's what Tony Khan loves to do. He loves to go ahead and give you great cards for free. Look at.
I didn't even realize they had 9 pay-per-views, man. How do you have 9 pay-per-views and still have like this stuff? Like, how are you not building up for pay-per-views?
I'm just pissed that they have Wardlow versus Samoa Joe on this card.
Like, you win it at the pay-per-view. 2 weeks later, you're big business.
Why are they doing this to Wardlow? And I think Samoa Joe came out with a video. I haven't watched it yet, but he put something. So I guess he was trying to steal from The Rock. But he put out a video out there on all social media platforms. But yes, you have a stacked card again. And I'm like, man, you know Wardlow's gonna lose. It's big business. Of course he's gonna lose because it's not gonna be something
that's gonna happen is you're gonna have Cole or that group getting involved and beat down Samoa Joe to end the show.
Oh man, it's so.
If you have Joe beat Wardlow, Tony Khan has lost his freaking mind.
Yes.
And if you have Wardlow go through and run through Samoa Joe, he's lost his damn mind. Either way, that match needs to end with whatever else. You know what? The best thing you can do? Bring back the scumbag.
Yeah. And you know what you said was so true. How they still in WWE relate CM Punk, yet nobody in their God green mind decides to do that in the AEW world for MJF.
There was talk that there was discussions with them signing the contract, and it fell like out. Like there was a falling out of
My bad. I know. I took it off.
No, it's they had a falling out of where they were with the money, and then everything kind of went quiet. But again, you don't know what to believe with the bull crap with MJF and AEW and the money and this and that. But then one of the guys you had on that thing, Okada.
Yes.
Did you hear the damn money he got?
Okada, baby, he's in AEW.
Did you hear the money he got to be in AEW?
I'm pretty sure he banked.
It is 1 billion yen, which is $4 million.
Jesus, guy's balling. He's never made that much money in his life.
He signed $4 million. How much do you think MJF? If MJF is there and is not signed to a deal, if I'm MJF, I'm going, well, if he got 4, I want 5. I carried this damn company for almost 10 months.
And okay, so they bring Okada, and I know one of the things we were going to talk about is who's a better draw.
We'll get into that in a minute. We'll go through that whole process there, because we can still talk about him and then just do the answer when we bring that up.
But you saw the card I just pulled up, right?
Yeah.
Where in God's green earth is Mercedes Mone gonna come out for here? Because it's definitely not gonna be while Willow Nightingale is going against Rio.
Yes, it will.
Why? Just because you want to set up Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Mone? Come on, man. That's your first fight for Mercedes Mone, unless he's gonna put it on a Dynamite. That's the only way. Don't put it on a pay-per-view. I could understand. I could respect that, because obviously the whole New Japan situation.
He's gonna wrestle on Dynamite or something before.
Oh, yeah,
Collision. I mean, I don't know.
He's the Tony Khan, and again, like what you said, it's all about in ring, and you get those wrestling fans who are all about the in ring stuff, but you need the entertainment.
Tony Khan. What do you think the first match is going to be tomorrow?
Probably that Chris Jericho Hook versus the Gates of Agony.
Really? You think that? See, I think
it better not be that Samoa Joe versus Wardlow. I'll be pissed as hell.
Man opens it. The Elite and Pac and Penta and Kingston.
Yeah, and Pac, because Pac made a return. But then you also got Darby Allin versus Jay White. Darby Allin.
That might actually, that'll probably open the show, and Joe and Wardlow will close the show. And no doubt, as far as I know, MJF is not signed anywhere. As far as I know.
And you know what? But maybe this is, and then Tony Khan allows freaking Darby Allin, because after this fight, he's gonna go do the Mount Everest climb. So come on, man, like come on, dude, like how are you gonna do that? And like, I mean, it's just, man, it's so disappointing. But yes, I do feel it's gonna be that Darby Allin versus Jay White. Hopefully, Darby Allin is feeling a lot better after that insane match. I know I wasn't here last week about the Sting retirement match. That was crazy.
We can talk about it. We can talk about it now. Go ahead.
That was great. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I thought they did a very, very, very good job with Sting and his whole presentation and all that stuff. The only thing I was a little bit disappointed was they cut him off. Tony Khan pays $4 million to Okada, but you can't pay the penalty to extend it at least for another 15, 20 minutes.
No, but see, that's where I think, and I wanted to talk to you. Good thing we brought this up, because I was talking to you on the air.
Okay.
Again, I think it was another miscommunication, because you kept seeing Darby walk over to Sting and tell him something in his ear. I think he was trying to tell him, not yet. Wait till the cameras go off. Not yet. Wait till the cameras go off. Not yet. You know, and Sting was just going to go. Sting was into the thing. He's going to go. I think it was supposed to wait till the whole cameras went off and then address the thing. And then, like what they did, they released it afterwards, Sting's, so they could get YouTube hits. That's what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that. I mean, at the end of the day, I just felt it was kind of like, I mean, come on, man. Tony, pay up, man. You pay $4 million for Okada. Like, come on. How much did you pay for Will Ospreay? I'm pretty sure he's getting paid an arm and a leg too. So
that goes back to the other thing. It's like, you're paying all this money for these guys. And I get it. There's TV rights and there's all this stuff coming in. But at some point now, there's going to have to be cuts to AEW. You can't keep, I get it. There's probably guys making a lot less. Don't get me wrong. But if you're paying all these guys that much money, when John Moxley comes up, you think he's not going to go, well, if he's making that much money, I want to be close to it.
Well, I don't think Moxley's such a good example, because I don't think WWE would ever bring Moxley back. But like a Wardlow,
but I can tell you right now, he'll use them as a whatever. He'll use whoever. to get more money. But if you or just say, hey, I'm going to go to the independents and make as much money as I'm making now, making wrestling less. You're busting your ass for that company, and you're not going to, you pay me what this guy's going to come in and make $4 million for what? And I'm not trying to say nothing bad about Okada, but, and we'll get into this. And actually, I don't know if you want to go into it right now or whatever, but do any of these guys, to casual wrestling fans, change perception of AEW?
No.
You've catered to your fans, and yes, Will Ospreay, God bless that man. He is so goddamn talented, man.
Yes.
And he's gonna have so many great matches. And on his Instagram and his X, and he's doing everything right, being the baby face and talking about his, he made a meme of himself after the show when he's sitting at the press, the scrum and everything else. But the problem that, to me, that has always been the problem with AEW is that you cater so much to your hardcore AEW fans. The casual wrestling fans don't understand what Will Ospreay is. Well, yes, he came in on the pay-per-views, but they could have done a package. And look, I follow a lot of wrestling sites, so I watched the last match Will Ospreay had before he went to AEW. That match was awesome.
The one where Tony Khan was there?
Yeah. Well, why not put that into a package or something? Be like, here's what, AEW, send out a package, even if it's on your YouTube, your social media, to your casual fans of like, this is what you can expect from Will Ospreay. Don't expect everybody to understand who Will Ospreay is, who Okada is. Yes, they're going to understand Mercedes Mone. I get that. But not everybody understands how damn talented these guys are.
100%. I think, especially since they had that pay-per-view where they announced that Will Ospreay was going to be in AEW, but it took him maybe 3-6 months to make his way over to AEW.
I think that hurt him, man, in a way. It's like you make this big time deal like, oh, we're going to announce our latest signing, and I hate to say it this way because it was Will Ospreay, which was a great signing, but you made it seem like it was going to be somebody that you hadn't seen. It's like, okay, well, he was just on your pay-per-view 2 weeks ago.
I will say this. I think at that time, I was kind of like, we all knew it was going to be Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
But I agree with you 100% that they should have kind of showcased him leading up to when he finally makes his debut to the AEW world. That they dropped the ball, and they've always dropped the ball. Yeah. They should have done that with Okada maybe too, if they were going to feel like, hey, we're going to bring him on board. But what do? You put him on Big Business, and now he's fighting. So it's like, for the casual fans, we have no idea who they are.
Eddie Kingston was about to get triggered by the Bucks, and everybody thought he came out to help out Kingston, and they turned on Kingston.
True. Now, I will say this, and I wasn't on the show last week, so I will mention this. I was upset at AEW because after that pay-per-view, they had on their Instagram page, maybe on X too, it was Bryan Danielson getting treated after the fight, and he was sitting next to Eddie Kingston, and Eddie Kingston was talking to him, and then they were showing this sign of respect and all that stuff. You know what, AEW? Grow a pair and screw that. That's where WWE makes the difference. You make a freaking storyline again. He should have gone ahead. You could have had Moxley come out there and say, why are you even talking to this loser? Or walk away. You want to give Eddie Kingston his respect and all that? You do that backstage behind no cameras. You know his talent. You know how good he is. Okay, great. But for the camera, show some storyline. You could have created so much. I don't want to hear, oh man, the sign of respect, man, I gotta give you the handshake. You already gave him the handshake in the pay-per-view, and then you're showing him again the respect. How Bryan Danielson, I can't believe how great Eddie Kingston has grown and all that stuff. No, man, make a freaking storyline off of it, man. Bryan, and you know what? It's not only TK, it's also these wrestlers, because they don't make that initiative to go ahead and they know what works, unless they feel like what you said. It's all about the in-ring stuff. Screw the storyline. It's all in ring. That's what we're gonna sell. That's what we're gonna do. Maybe the wrestlers feel that way, but me as a wrestler, especially how Tony Storm does it, especially how MJF does it, these guys know that in order for you to be able to catch people's viewers, those eyes, you have to make something more than just the in-ring talent.
You have to get them to invest into your character.
Exactly. Look at Tony Storm. I like
the character, or you're done. You're done. You're not gonna. Yes, they're gonna love your match. Yes, they're gonna. You're gonna get a great match. I mean, that's the thing. Like, everybody's like, "Oh, AEW's pay-per-view was great." I'm like, most of the time they are great. The matches are phenomenal.
They are.
It's the lead up to the pay-per-view that sucks. And not every time, not every match. Don't get me wrong, but for the and again, it's just, to me. But that's also what I like in my aspect of pro wrestling that I like, is the buildup to the pay-per-view. I don't just like, oh, let's just throw Will Ospreay against Takeshita.
Yeah.
Like, what? And then Don Callis comes out like, well, because we're so good that only the family can fight each other because of how good we are. And then you turn around, and on Wednesday, it's Kyle Fletcher, another Don Callis member, against Will Ospreay. So his first two matches are against the group that he's in. I don't get it. And I understand, and again, however you want to look at it, if you read the things, they want to remove him from the Don Callis family. That's fine. But then you should have done it at the pay-per-view and had Kyle Fletcher lay him out when he hugged him. Bam. So then their match meant something on Wednesday. Because now he hugged it out with Takeshita. He hugs it out with Fletcher. When are you doing the turn? When's he leaving the family? Like, some of the stuff just does not make.
And isn't Kyle Fletcher more a Ring of Honor than an AEW?
He's the Ring of Honor TV champion, right, or something. What was
he?
And he lost, by the way. He lost on AEW.
So you
I love that. I love the ROH titles getting defended on AEW.
So you put Will Ospreay to go up against a guy who's focused on the other portion of your programming, or Ring of Honor, which nobody watches.
And you give him 25 minutes of TV time, and Will Ospreay goes over.
Come on, man. Explain that to me. What common sense is that, man? It just makes no sense. And that's why you get the poor viewership. Look, I saw Saturday Collision.
Oh, I didn't even watch that. I don't watch Collision that much anymore.
They had like a triple threat match or something like that, and it was this guy Malachi Black and his group, and they were fighting against man, what was this guy's I think it was
Briscoe in them. It's Briscoe, Jarrett, and Lethal.
Yes. Okay. So what they did with Briscoe is they went ahead, they got a table. Julia Hart put the fire liquid on there, and then they did a power bomb on him on the damn thing, and then he burns himself. Yeah. He burnt, literally. You see when they grab him out and they move him out because
fire's on his shirt
because he has a tank top on. So how, like, okay, people are looking at this, and then at the end of the show, you see the AEW staff coming out there and like patting him down because he's burned in the back really bad. Dude, like, what? Like, really? That's what you're selling on a Saturday night? Like, come on, man. What is that? And then on top of that, like, there was no storyline to it. It's like, yo, we're just gonna put Briscoe and
well, it was Briscoe,
Jarrett and all them.
Brody.
It was Jeff.
It
was Briscoe, Jeff Jarrett, and somebody else.
Yes, Briscoe and Brody King had the history, and they kind of brought in the other two from the House of Black. And then Lethal said he'd be by Briscoe's side. Jarrett was against it, my understanding. At least the little bit of the thing they said, Jarrett was like, why are we doing this? And then they had the match. I don't know what the whole gist of it was. But yeah, it's one of those things. And man, look, man, I'll never say anything wrong about in-ring action for AEW. Do they do some crazy maybe some stuff that I would be like, I don't know if I'd be doing all that shit. Yes. But the in-ring stuff, if you don't like their in-ring stuff, you're just a hater, honestly. I sit on X and I watch all these people that are like, pro WWE are like, oh, AEW sucks. Their matches are what do you mean their matches are terrible? The matches are the best thing on AEW. Like if you don't like that, then you just don't like wrestling, because that's wrestling. You like the sports entertainment side of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's wrestling.
And I'm looking at the numbers here, and Collision brought in 422,000 viewers. It had its highest peak at the beginning of the show when Bryan Danielson was fighting against Shane Taylor. And again, I mean, no disrespect to Shane Taylor, he's a decent wrestler, but seriously, you're gonna him against that Bryan Danielson? I don't think they pushed Shane Taylor to that point where he should be fighting.
I think Bryan Danielson gave him too much. Like if he's in there with Bryan Danielson right now, Bryan Danielson should give him a little things, and then out wrestle him and beat him. You know what I'm saying? Like but again, maybe that's more me thinking along, the WWE line. Whereas to me, Shane Taylor was a great wrestler and a good wrestler and everything else. But when I look at Bryan Danielson, I think he's up top, and then I think Shane Taylor's more, a little lower than Bryan Danielson.
And then here on the notes, and I'm reading this up on WrestlingInc.com. Basically, the viewership dropped to its lowest point when Místico was fighting against Angelico. And why did it drop so low? Because nobody knows about him. Nobody cares about him. There's nothing behind those two guys that people will be like, yo, I'm invested. Your random wrestling fan is like, who the hell is Místico? Who the hell is Angelico? I don't know who these guys are. Makes no sense. So of course you're gonna have a dropout. And I don't know if AEW realizes this. They should be going into their viewership and seeing when, like, they're kind of like what we do, like, hey, when we're looking at our numbers and we're looking to see how many people are tuning in, where do we get our peak? When does it fall down? Like, is it steady throughout the show?
Somebody's got to sit Tony Khan down and be like, look, I get it. You're a wrestling fan. I get it. But in order for us, we can't have you putting together the Tony Khan card of the week. We need to start making this, and again, I understand, I know Bryan Danielson's a part of the creative team, but I also think he's, and I brought up the thing where he said, the difference between WWE and AEW. I think he has the same mindset that Tony Khan has. And that's almost, and I'm not saying that Bryan Danielson's a yes man, but when they both see the same thing, that's, I believe, what you're seeing. Like you said, the in-ring stuff is great. The problem is half the people that are watching it don't know what the hell the in-ring stuff is. It's like you made let's see, what can I think of here? Come on, fat guy. A calzone, and you just surprise people with what's in it, and you wait for the cut it open. And it's like, what the hell is this?
Or an omelet. You do an omelet.
Maybe an omelet better one. There's an omelet a better one.
It's like you order one of those meat lovers omelet, and then you get a vegan one.
Yeah, when AEW first started, and no doubt says Danson did something similar a couple of weeks ago. I forgot who he even fought. Some young man, long blonde hair. He asked for a random match, and some random dude answered the call. I go back to when AEW first started, and
Sean, no doubt, who watches AEW didn't even know who the guy was.
Yeah,
that goes to show you the misconnect that the AEW has. I don't even remember.
But I look back and I go, when AEW first started, I'll never forget. Cody Rhodes came out, and it was Darby Allin, and I'm like, what the hell are they doing? Cody's gonna put this guy over? This guy's $180 soaking wet. And then by like 3 weeks later, I'm like, this Darby Allin kid's pretty damn good. And then the Orange Cassidy came out, and he put his damn hands in his pants, and he kicked Jericho in the shin, and he did all this stuff, and they did their whole thing, and it built them up to where I was like, okay, Orange Cassidy's got something. But I don't feel like you have to do that with everybody. Like Bryan Danielson, I feel like gets in these matches, it's like, okay, I can make these guys better. Eddie Kingston doesn't need you to make them better. Shane Taylor doesn't need you to make them better. Like for instance, you need to get in the ring with those guys that nobody knows. Y2J with Action Andretti. Remember when he beat Y2J out of nowhere? That at least made him something to where now they use him as the guy that usually loses to people, but it was the guy that got a victory. It was the guy like, out of nowhere, he gets the win, and now he's something. And now, at least when you watch him, you're like, oh, that's the guy that beat Jericho. He's got something.
Yeah.
You know, it just, to me, they're not doing that enough. And they're giving other guys too much stuff on guys that they shouldn't have. Like if you put Shane Taylor against Trent Beretta, okay, give him some stuff. But against Bryan Danielson, yeah, he should get some things in, and then Bryan Danielson should be able to lock him down. To me, Bryan Danielson's on this level. Taylor is still on this level. Will Taylor get to that level? I don't know. But to do that week in and week out on these things, I think you're hurting your product. Yeah, you're having some good matches. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like you're hurting your product.
Well, look, I actually went to a website here, and it's called cagematch.net. And it basically gives me statistics of every match of who a wrestler has fought. So Bryan Danielson, before he fought Shane Taylor at Collision, the previous one of the previous matches that he fought was against, he defeated Yun Ukiyama. Nobody knows who the hell he is. He fought against Zack Sabre Jr. and he beat Bryan Danielson. I think that's the one that that was the pay-per-view. Okay. Then the next one, I'm just looking at some random ones. So Bryan Danielson fought on another Collision, and he fought against a Hechicero. I guess that's one of the Mexican wrestlers from.
I think so. Yeah, when they were doing the CMLL thing, I think.
Okay, then he went and he fought against Yuji Nagata. That's probably another New Japan guy who probably came for a show there and stuff like that. So again, you're look at the guys that he's going up against, which is what you exactly are saying. These guys, either you don't know them, or number two, they don't need to push, or you need to figure out who you want to go ahead and push in your team. Why haven't you put in Swerve versus Bryan Danielson? Swerve right now is huge right now. And you're not putting him against Bryan Danielson. You keep dragging this Adam Page situation and all that stuff. Forget that crap. Now he lost. He needs to start all over. He said he was going to come back and redeem himself. Why don't you put that? I know that they're doing Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay, and that's okay. That's fine. But I'm saying you got so much potential with Swerve Strickland. Do that, Push for something like that. Put one of your most talented and exciting wrestlers to go up against Bryan Danielson, especially some people are invested on him. So that's my concern with AEW, and that's where you're going to lose a lot of your fans, because you're just randomly putting like.
See, that's the thing, is I don't think they're worried about losing the casual fans. They're more worried about keeping their hardcore fan base. Which, again, if you're good with that, then stay in that brand. But don't say that you're competition or try to compare ratings, because you're not trying to compete. You're trying to be, and not saying that's a bad thing. If AEW can be the best AEW can be, maybe ultimately you start winning over some fans, maybe. But I don't know that their blueprint will get the casual wrestling fan, because it's just they don't know them enough to where, like with WWE. Now, especially with Triple H and Shawn Michaels, they started in NXT. When they get to the main roster, you've already watched them for a while. You've already known them, so you know these guys already. And I think that's where AEW, again, with the dark and elevation that they had, I think that was a good proving ground show for them, where you could build up some people to bring in the Dynamite to lose, because they'd win some on dark and elevation, so it made it look like, they're better than maybe what they were as far as their plans and everything. But then it just doesn't make sense, man.
And I'm looking at some of these matches, man. And look, I forgot, but Bryan Danielson did fight against Swerve back in the day, back early.
Before Swerve got the big push.
Yeah, and then and he's fought multiple guys over and over. He fought Andrade El Idolo more than once before he left to WWE. He's fought in Daniel Garcia a couple times as well. He fought Eddie Kingston in the Continental Classic Blue League semifinal, and then we had him again in the pay-per-view. So it's like, dude, it's the repetitive stuff. Like, come on, man. Like, just bad booking, bro. Bad booking.
Well, I think it goes back to where, and I keep always looking at the fact when Cody left. He always said, we weren't on the same page. And I look at what it is now to what it was then, and it was everything wasn't storyline driven, but there's a hell of a lot more storylines when Cody was involved in there than there is now.
Yeah.
So, and then Cap for Life in, he says AEW wants to go the ECW route perhaps. I think at times, yes, but at times I don't, man. It's rough to me, man, watching some of that stuff. I just like that Darby spot. And then when he went through the glass and then, and he rolled over and it was just the blood just started coming out like a horror movie.
Yeah, that was
I was like,
is that guy okay?
But hey, you know what? Let me tell you something though. And kudos to AEW, and the news came out afterwards, of course. But they had a stunt. There was a reason that everything went down the way it did. They had a stunt coordinator come in, and they actually did the spot with the stunt coordinator, so they knew exactly how the chairs had to be, so that he went through with the glass and everything else. So at least they took precautions, because again, if you remember, the ones setting up the chairs and the glass were Sting's sons. They set up the table and the chairs and the glass and everything there. So they did a great job there, and then Darby took the spot, which, my God. And it made sense in the match, but sometimes I'm like, man, couldn't you have thought of something else? Because they had to do something where it took Darby out of the match for a while so they could double team Sting and beat down on Sting and everything there. But I just sometimes think like that's what you had to do to get eliminated for a while.
Yeah, man, it was rough to watch. I mean, I was looking at it and I was like, what is going on here? And I was telling my brother and I was telling a couple of my friends, I was like, are you guys watching this? Because this guy is going through some crazy stuff. He almost died out there. And I mean, kudos to them. Like you said, at least they got their somebody to work on it beforehand, but it was still pretty bad.
Sure everything was done. But I mean, I don't know that they knew how, because it looked like somehow one of the piece of glass didn't shatter the way they thought, and it ripped a big hole in the upper shoulder of Darby, because that area was very tore up. And then, of course, where the little, holes were all in his back from the other parts of glass, but like his shoulder blade area, it looked like, I don't know, maybe if he hit the chair too square or what, but it looked like it ripped a lot of his shoulder blade area there.
So even though they ran it through the stunt double, they still found a way to mess it up.
Oh, yeah. Well, anytime you leave the ground and go through something, dude, you never know what's going to happen. Yeah. You never know what's going to happen. I mean,
too extreme sometimes.
I just sometimes it's like, okay, all right, here we go. Like I couldn't believe Sting took the hip toss through the glass. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, but at least
what are you doing, Sting? Your last night, man.
At least Sting is covered up, Darby Allin had his old back wide open.
But it's like, bro, no. Let Flair do that bump.
Crazy.
I would have done. You do that one. And then, I know we're going back, but for those that don't know that I was solo last week, so me and Frankie didn't get to really talk about the Revolution pay-per-view. Sting, I love the entrance. Surfer Sting, and then his other son came out as NWO Wolfpack Sting, and then of course then Sting was out. You had legends there. Ricky Steamboat was the guest timekeeper. Not sure how he got that. And then you had Magnum TA, Nikita Koloff, Scotty Riggs, Lex Luger was in attendance.
Man, I didn't know that Lex Luger was so bad health-wise, man.
He's been in like wheelchair for feels like 10 years, close to 10 years.
When I saw him, I was like, man, I was like, damn, I didn't know he was that bad health-wise. I was like, damn. So
he had like a stroke or a heart attack, and he got in the wheelchair and just never. So it's been rough. I don't know. Have you watched any of the Dark Side of the Rings that are out now, the new ones?
I haven't seen the new ones. I saw some of the old ones.
They had one on Tenta, and they had one on
wait, they had one on Penta?
Tenta, John Tenta. Earthquake.
Okay.
And who was the last one?
I gotta watch it. I did notice it, but I haven't clicked on it.
No, I'm getting them mixed up. It was Tenta, and then the one coming up is Bagwell. But then they did the WWE Legends with Scott Hall.
I saw the premiere. I saw the preview of that one, but I didn't watch it.
Dude, you're talking.
To watch it?
Yes, man. And there's so much stuff that like I didn't realize, man, about him.
Wow.
Like, what's funny is I watched him when he was in AEW, and it was Scott Hall with the curly brown hair, the mustache, and he was like a country guy. And then I saw him here in Florida, and they called him Scott Gator Hall.
Wait, you said AEW.
AWA. I'm sorry, AWA. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
And what's funny is Diamond Dallas Page changed his look.
Wow.
Because he's like, you got to get rid of the Tom Selleck mustache. You got to get rid of. He looked like a Tom Selleck stunt double with muscles.
That's
like
funny.
a steroid Tom Selleck stunt model, the old time Scott Hall. So then he got rid of the mustache. He grew his hair out, slicked it back, and then he became the Diamond Stud, which I remember that, the Diamond Stud. And then Kevin Nash was Oz at that time in WCW. Just if you look back at what WCW had, like they had those guys and couldn't do anything with them. And Stone Cold, and at the time Steve Austin, all those guys were there.
Yeah.
And they had to go to WWE to become the stars to return back to WCW.
Yeah, man.
And then, but when you, I don't want to ruin the documentary, but when you watch it, it's like, it pulls at your heartstrings, man. It pulls at your heartstrings.
Wow, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch after the show, or maybe later tomorrow or something. But I gotta watch it this week.
I'm telling you now, when you guys watch it, it's gonna like, man, dude, there's a lot there to like just take in. Like, just didn't know all that stuff about him, man.
Yeah.
Let's
cool.
see. I was all in on Sting taking that bump, go out swinging, F it so much. Dude, Sting has done enough. Sting has done enough. Sting could have stood in the middle of the ring and they could have ran around him the whole match, and I'd have been like, great job, Sting.
Yep.
I would not have cared what Sting did in that match. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't. As long as you give me the entrance, you already gave me. I think they messed up by falling from the rafters at the Dynamite.
No, of course. They didn't mess up. That's typical TK doing that crap.
But could you imagine this? Think about this. I thought about it afterwards, actually. Is his son's dressed up like him, right? So you play it, they're up on the ramp. They're calling for have Darby up there. They're calling for the Bucks to come. The Bucks start charging up the thing. You drop them from the rafters there. And now, bam, at the pay-per-view would have been the perfect time. But again, I don't know what the setup is there and all that. So, but man, I wanted to see it. They gave it to me, so I don't care either way.
Yeah.
But I thought, again, it's let's put everything on Dynamite.
And I heard that WWE, the AEW never went to WWE to get some of the film of him.
I've heard both ways. I've heard they didn't ask, and I've heard that WWE said no. But it is what it is.
I'm leaning a little bit more on AEW not asking.
They probably didn't ask, thinking that they would get a no. I'm my guessing.
Yeah.
And then also Kevin Nash came back out and said that it was kind of misquoted or misstated that WWE didn't tell him he couldn't go. What happened was Sting asked him, could he get physically involved in the match? And he decided against it. Like I'm a WWE guy. I'm going to stay here.
Makes sense.
So it is what it is, man, at those things there, man. But
why even bring him in? Why get him even physical?
Yeah, but I think they were going to try to do like the Wolfpack part of it. I think it was going to be. You know what, man? I wish they would have made that a cinematic match. Thinking about it now, sitting here thinking about this, if he would have came out as Crow, and then he's fighting, and then all of a sudden, the Young Bucks get rid of him or whatever, and then here comes Surfer Sting in for a little bit. Remember what John Cena did with Bray? I'm kind of thinking that through my head, like where he became Hogan and NWO and all the cinematic stuff. If he could have went through his whole career, kind of like in a cinematic match, I mean, again,
yeah,
it would have sucked for the fans because the fans would have gotten cheated out of seeing Sting one more time. But man, what you could have done, kind of like with the Undertaker, because of COVID, him and AJ Styles, they did the last ride on the farm where they filmed it with Taker beating AJ, the cinematic match, because he knew, he couldn't really do a whole lot in the ring. But those things, man, just, dude.
One last thing on the AEW side. Do I have any chance in this world to get with CJ Perry? Do I have any shot whatsoever? If I don't, what do I have to do, guys, to get a shot with CJ Perry since she's back in the market after unfortunate?
This is all you, buddy. I'll be right back.
What I gotta do? I gotta do something. I mean, man, when I heard that she's getting a divorce, man, I was like, damn.
You do realize like they haven't been together in forever. Like since All In, like in December or whatever it was. Like they haven't been. He's been living in Bulgaria.
Why hasn't they not been together?
TV? Like he's been gone.
Why hasn't she been with him?
They separated a while ago. It just got out now.
I mean, I know that she had the messed up thing with her finger that was pretty bad. I don't know if she got that corrected. I know she was going through some stuff.
But he was there for that.
Look at that, man.
She said they're staying friends and nothing. They just whatever it was, they just couldn't, Maybe, some people can't be married, man.
Not that some people they were married for 7 years.
No, but what I'm saying though is when you're with somebody all the time, like when you're wrestling and you're traveling with that person, like think about it. Did they ever get a break from each other?
Only when they went their separate ways, when he went to AEW, and that's it.
I mean, maybe that's when he said, this ain't so bad.
Possibly, I guess you could say that, but I mean, it just sucks because, after all these, they made it in WWE with all like the hookups of her with all these other guys,
Bobby Lashley,
and all that stuff, and then they put CJ Perry with Andrade and all that stuff, and then officially now they go their separate ways. So
during that match too, by the way, it was already done. It was a done deal.
Wow.
So. But that's why he said professional. Terry says, do you guys think Andrade will join Judgment Day?
No.
Yeah, I don't believe so either.
I
mean, it's a cool little thing. Rhea, every time somebody comes in, she talks to them. She's associated with them. We'll see what happens.
Yep.
I'm trying to think what else. Anything else?
I think we cover everything. I mean, remember, AEW side is kind of like 50-50. Mercedes Mone, hopefully she makes her debut tomorrow, and hopefully they make it well deserved. Hopefully they live up to expectation with her.
That was the other thing I want to ask you. We didn't answer the question. Who will be the better draw for AEW, the company? Will Ospreay, Okada, Mercedes Moné? And in the chat, you can be a part of the conversation as well. Who will be the better draw for AEW, the company?
I think number one will have to be Will Ospreay. I think he's already proved it, that just the way he's carrying himself and the talent that he brings to the table is just, it looks like he's going to be a hell of a start. I think Monet comes in second. I think because of her star power and because of the fact that she, a lot of people know her outside of AEW. They know her from WWE. So I think she's going to do really well. And I think Tony Khan is hopefully he's able to shift and put some more focus on the women's division. And I think lastly will be Okada. I think the language barrier is kind of hard for him. I know that they're teaming him up with obviously these guys, the EVPs, but still, I just don't see it Okada at least not right now, doing such a great thing. I think I don't even know why they signed him, to be honest with you. I don't think that was a great signing. I think
I think they did so WWE didn't get him.
Probably.
But the thing was, when that money came out and they said $4 million, and then I went to Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp, and he's like, it's pretty accurate. So it might be a little bit off here or there, but still, you're paying over $3 million. Think about this. Cody Rhodes left and went to WWE for $3 million a year. He's gotten an extension since then, so I don't know if he's gone up or whatever, but that's what he left for. And now you give Okada $4 million.
And remember, WWE, when they were thinking about putting Okada into WWE, they weren't even going to bring him to SmackDown or Raw. They were thinking about putting him in NXT.
Yeah, they put everybody there first, though.
So that goes to show you how WWE knew that you can't just bring him immediately to the main roster. You need to build him up.
You've got not only that too, but like I always say with WWE, is you have to learn to wrestle the WWE way. You might be a superstar, but you have to learn to wrestle the WWE style. And it is different. It is way different. It's slower. It's more methodical. It's allowing the fans to register each move. Bam, I punched him. Reaction. Bam, I punched him again. Reaction. That's where sometimes I think AEW gets going a little bit too fast. You can't register the moves. Are the moves great? Fantastic. Out of this world. But if I'm still going, ooh, from this, and you're already doing 3 different moves, I can't register on everything. You know what I'm saying? And that's where like you have to learn the WWE style. And that's why they sent him to NXT first.
What about
stay there forever? No, he'd probably only stay there for a month or 2.
Yeah.
Because what they do is they would do the live events and they would send down whoever his first opponent is probably going to be. So they'll send Sami Zayn down to take on Okada at the live events so that Okada starts wrestling those guys to train him how to work the WWE style. Because Okada can wrestle. I mean, everybody that makes it to that level that has been out. Now, again, I know they got the NIL guys that come from college that need some work, but, you know, your Okadas, your Adam Coles, your Roderick Strongs, all the guys that have been through NXT were to go through, well, those guys were there because they were small and Vince was in charge. But now you're going through to learn the WWE style and then to make it up your progression.
Yeah, but to ask you the same question, what do you think? What would you rank those
asked
3?
Me before I saw Will Ospreay, I knew he was good. I would have said Mercedes Moné, but I agree with you now after watching Will Ospreay and watching how he interacts on social media with the media and everything else. I think if Tony Khan and them allow him to be, he could be the face of AEW with MJF being the antagonist. And then you have Kenny Omega if he can come back. I know he had another supposed setback. I don't know if that's a work or if that's a thing because of everything going on with the way they're doing the elite thing now. But if he did take a setback, I wish him well and he gets back soon. But yeah, I don't know that Okada. Again, I think they did a free agency move. They overpaid to make sure WWE didn't get him.
That's gonna hurt him. That's gonna bite him in the butt because I don't think Okada is gonna live up to that
Captain Life
expectation.
says, "Is the Cactus Jack style?" Hell yeah, it is. Elbow onto the ground. Bah. Would you consider it Attitude Era? Yeah, Cactus Jack was. I mean, Cactus Jack wasn't the Attitude Era. Big Fo Dude Love was Attitude Era. Mankind, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack would appear for the hardcore matches. So, I mean, I guess you could kind of throw them all into the Attitude Era. Mick Foley was the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
I love how AEW uses the technical reversals. Yeah, I mean, again, the in-ring stuff for AEW, too. I mean, there's a couple on WWE that could probably go with that, but for the most part, AEW has the in-ring, like the phenomenal guys. I mean, when you look at, especially the new signings, when you look at anybody new, the guys we just talked about, I mean, Okada's great in the ring. Will Ospreay's great in the ring. Can they make it transpire to be anything else? And then if you have all these guys at some point, unless they just keep guys to keep guys, you've got to start trimming the roster. I mean, this roster keeps growing. And then I haven't heard of anybody else being ghosted recently. So I'm guessing everybody's still under contract.
And there was even rumors that this guy was gonna make his way over to AEW. Sheldon Benjamin.
Shelton Benjamin, yeah. There was talks about that as well.
So,
and that'll be interesting. Again, that's some great matchups there for him. Matchups. I don't know if you got storylines. That's the thing. It's like matchups. You have a lot of dream matchups for Shelton Benjamin, Kenny Omega, Okada, Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson, John Moxley. You throw those guys in, you have great matchups you want to see. There's no stories. So it's just the match. Like, boom, once you get the match, it's like, okay. And then Cat for Life says AEW needs to beef up. Yep, I agree, more heavyweights. That's the problem, though, Cat for Life is, and we talked about it, I think, 2 weeks ago, is the big guys in AEW is what little guys are in WWE back in the day. Vince didn't like little guys, didn't know how to use little guys. Tony Khan, so far, doesn't look like he knows how to use big guys, and it doesn't look like he knows how to use big guys. No news on Jacob Fatu. Nothing there. So TK, no doubt says TK reads children's books. He isn't familiar with the story. Dude, if somebody comes out as one fish, two fish, if that's the tag team this week on Dynamite at Big Business, we'll know what's going on there.
I mean, look, I right now, this guy, Adam Copeland, bro, he's kind of disappeared as well.
Now they did I Quit. They're going to do an I Quit match in Toronto on Dynamite.
Jesus. They always do crazy ass matches all the time. I heard that there was also Paul Wright was talking about how he was happy that he left WWE and went to AEW. But
I mean, I think some of those, but again, he was at that stage where they weren't going to use him.
Yeah.
You know, that's the same thing with Samoa Joe is they got the thing where he was like, we're not going to use you in the ring. We'll use you for other stuff. And then he went to AEW. You got to do what's right for you too, man. And I don't fault them, man. Again, you have creative freedom in AEW. You have, again, Tony Khan is like Mike McDaniel in a way. To me, that's the way I look at his leadership style. Come in, do whatever you want. As long as you can wrestle in the ring, you're good.
No, but we're not going to talk about the Dolphins right now. Or Mike McDaniel. So
he's the wrestler's coach.
No.
Cat Life says, what match intrigues you most at WrestleMania so far? Before we get out of here.
For me, I am interested, and I'm putting all stuff aside. For me, the one I kind of want to watch, obviously not the go-to ones already, the Cody and all that stuff. I'm gonna put those to the side. I'm gonna say the Bailey Eels guy. That's the one I kind of want to see what happens. I want to see. They could go two different routes. They could still leave Io Sky to keep the belt. They could give it to Bailey. I'm intrigued to see. I'm one of the random ones that actually is interested in that fight, even though they're not actually promoting it or doing that much to kind of like sell it because it's kind of falling in the backseat. So, but that's the match I would be most intrigued about.
And you know what? Just to put a different match out there because it just got announced last night. I'm very intrigued in this tag team ladder match. And the only reason I'm intrigued is because they haven't really said who's in it yet. Maybe as they start introducing, because I look at it and I say, are there 6 tag teams that they can throw in this match? Like, who are the tag teams they're going to throw in here?
R-Truth and Miz, baby. I saw him in the promo.
Awesome Truth, baby.
R-Truth.
But I mean, when you look at some of the other tag teams, I mean, maybe that's Chad Gable and Otis go in there. I'm just trying to think, like looking at it at the thing.
Johnny Gargano and Ciampa.
Or Gargano and DIY.
Yeah, they're there.
But I gotta believe the one thing that's interesting to me is will they do the thing that they did the one time when they brought the Hardys back? Will there be a surprise like tag team, like maybe the Dudley Boys at WrestleMania?
That'd be cool.
Not saying they're gonna win. But they come out and they do the little thing in a ladder match. TLC made them famous. We know it's not going to be Edge and Christian. Matt Hardy's out of AEW. Maybe Jeff will be out by the time.
Wait, Matt Hardy left AEW?
Oh, supposedly his contract expired. We'll see what happens.
Oh, Lord.
He's too busy doing the cold plunges right now.
Wow.
So that's the one that intrigues me just for that reason of, do they throw somebody in there that you don't expect? Like a tag team out of nowhere, they just throw in there as the final tag team. That's intriguing to me. And I agree with you. Bailey, Io Sky, and then also Rhea Becky is intriguing just for the fact that do they keep Rhea being the monster that she's been? Or does Becky be the man and win the title? Or do they end up Bianca Belair, Jade? Does somebody else get in the way there as well? I don't know if you've seen the video footage yet. Charlotte Flair's doing squats already with 135 pounds from her ACL tear, which was what, 2 months ago, 3 months ago?
Yeah, that girl's amazing, man.
So, I mean, I don't know if she's going to be ready or not, but it's looking pretty good. Like, maybe she'll make an appearance as well. So those are the intriguing parts is who gets involved. And the only thing that intrigues me most about the Cody and them stuff is what Samoan dynasty members do they bring in, or what backup do they bring in for Cody and Seth? Are they going to, because if you watch Cody last night, I believe, if I watched it correctly, he did the too sweet.
Wow.
And then he pointed to the WrestleMania sign. So he was a member of the Bullet Club in Japan for a while. And if you look back at that, when you look at who's here now from the Japan Bullet Club, it would be the Good Brothers, AJ Styles, Finn Balor, Tama Tonga, or however his name is. Those four were members of the Bullet Club when he was there.
Wow.
So it's intriguing on not the match, necessarily the match, but what might happen during the match and what surprises. It's WrestleMania. Normally you don't get a lot of surprises at WrestleMania. You'll get maybe a Rock appearing before the show or Hogan or something like that usually, but not necessarily during the matches. And I think maybe you might get some of that. No Doubt says, do we see the briefcase cashed in chaos? I think we're both on the agreement of possibly. I don't think either one of us I'm not going to speak for you, Frankie, on the briefcase. Do you think it will be cashed in at WrestleMania, or you think what's your percentage?
I think they're going to cash it, but I actually like the idea that we brought up earlier was that, let him ride with it and then have another person, then have the money in the bank again. Then you have two people with money in the bank. I like that idea better. I've never seen that.
A dueling cash in.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
All right, my man. Tell them how they can see you tomorrow night. Don't forget, tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. Tomorrow night, 8:00 on my YouTube channel, Frankie Frezko, and then obviously Frezko is our Frezko. It's me and my brother. Let Me Talk to You podcast. We stream it on YouTube, on Twitter, on X. Well, I keep saying Twitter and X. Jesus.
It's the same thing.
Same thing. Twitch. We do all that, and then I'm gonna do it. I feel like I'm gonna go ahead. So after the show, guys, if you guys want to go ahead and turn into the Twitch side under my Twitch channel, I am gonna be streaming, but I'm not gonna be doing a podcast. This is more music. You guys know I'm a DJ, so I'll be streaming some music. Give me about 20 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes to set up, because I got to move this computer over there. And then I'll stream for like about an hour or two. Last time I streamed on Wednesday. I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to stream a little bit today, Tuesday. You know me, I play everything. So, yeah, I'm going to do it tonight. Yeah, I'll do it after the show. Yeah, because I've been doing it on Wednesday, but tonight I want to switch it up. So I feel like playing some R&B and stuff like that. So that's me. So if you guys want to tune in on my Twitch channel, you're more than welcome to go ahead and tune in on the Twitch side. I'll be there, probably play a little bit for maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, and you guys can enjoy some music. So if you guys want to check me out, hey, man, the more the merrier. My Twitch account is Frezko Music, the way it is spelled on the screen, but _DJ. So that's the only difference between my YouTube channel and this one. The Twitch one, it's Frezko Music _DJ. And if you want to follow me on Twitch, subscribe. You can do that too.
You can follow me at Sean Stanley 11 on IG, X, TikTok, Stanley Media House here on YouTube. Please, whether you're watching on the Stanley Media House YouTube, Frankie Frezko YouTube, please hit the subscribe. Jump over to the other one, hit the subscribe, hit the likes on both of them. We appreciate each and every one of you. We'll have more wrestling content coming out, also some NASCAR and some football takes out of the free agency, hopefully coming out soon. Keep wanting to do it, and I keep getting pulled away on other stuff because I do have to take care of the other main important thing that I do. So, with that in mind, Frankie Frezko, make sure you check him out tonight on Twitch. Tomorrow night, Let Me Talk to You. Make sure you're back here Tuesday night, 8 p.m. for another Slam Bamming Squared Circle Digest. And in the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the Sunshine State.